Okay, guys, the NFL season, it's about to begin. So I think it's about time to put every team into a tier list going into this season. Haven't seen these teams as most of them are currently constructed really play. Preseason, we've seen some things from some teams, but we're missing a lot. So this is going to be probably incredibly wrong. But I'm going to rank them based on how I feel. I think I got them ordered by division right now. So we'll go division by division and put them all in a tier list, starting with the AFC North. We're going AFC first. So AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. Let's see, they got one of the best running backs in the NFL, one of the best defensive players in the NFL with Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, respectively. What is Deshaun Watson, besides maybe a predator? What is he now? I thought he got a little overrated. He was still a really good quarterback, but I think he got a little overrated when he was with the Texans. And then not playing football for all that period of time, I think it hurt him. Does he get better this year? Probably. Is it enough to even win their division? I don't think so, which we'll get into why in a second. So we're talking at best potential wild cards. And if I'm being honest, I think I'm going to put them. I mean, this is one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. The three toughest divisions are probably the AFC North and then the AFC and NFC East. Those are probably the three toughest divisions. So I'm going to put them just at missing playoff teams. The Ravens. Lamar's healthy. He's got the most weapons around him. Their defense always seems to be able to do well. Dirk moving around. Dirk, don't lick yourself on my bed. Come on, man. We talked about this. So I'm going to put them at playoff team. I think I'm going to put them at playoff teams just because I don't know, man. If Lamar's really healthy, the ceiling for that team is a Super Bowl contender, but I'm going to leave them at playoff teams for now with the potential to, go higher. And then the Steelers, if TJ Watt's healthy the whole year, I mean, we obviously know what that defense could be. Kenny Pickett has been looking pretty good in preseason. He's got really good connections with his wide receivers. The run game is probably going to be good enough. I think this team is a potential wild card. Now, the Bengals. Back-to-back AFC Championship appearances. Joe Burrow, in my opinion, the second-best quarterback in the NFL. Jamar Chase, in my opinion, the second-best wide receiver in the NFL. A defense that has shown, time and time again to be able to go up against the Chiefs and handle Mahomes adequately enough. So for the Bengals, I'm going to put them Super Bowl contenders. Why aren't they favorites? We'll get into favorites when we get there. Everyone knows who's going there. I'm only putting one team there. And now we get to the AFC South. This is, let's see here, rookie quarterback. We could see a quarterback switch probably through the year. Maybe. I would say probably not. They ride the year out with Tannehill. But let's start with the Texans. I mean, young but intriguing is probably the perfect one for him. Who's that Texans wide receiver that's coming back? Let me look that up. Texans. John Mechie. Okay. I think they're getting John Mechie back. I'm not entirely sure about that. C.J. Stroud. Will Anderson Jr. has been dominating in the preseason. But, I mean, first-year head coach, I like to give those guys time. I doubt they hit the ground running. So I'm going to put them at young but intriguing. The Titans. The Titans. Mike Vrabel's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. But do I trust their quarterbacks? I just don't. Derrick Henry will probably have a good year, probably, but he is getting older. The running back fall-off can happen at any time, but I'm just going to put them at, and I'm really good friends with the Titans fans, so I hope he doesn't get mad at this, but I think I'm going to put them at missing playoffs. Colts, I mean, with Anthony Richardson, young but intriguing is the perfect tier list for him. What can he be in the NFL? Can he be the passer that you need to be in the NFL to make it at the quarterback position? We'll see. He's definitely an elite runner that is going to make that team hard to defend. But I'm going to put him at young but intriguing. And then the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence really looked good in the second half of that year. That comeback against the Chargers was incredible. Have they improved significantly since then? I'm trying to think of any additions. Calvin Ridley. They do have one of the bigger additions in Calvin Ridley. But was the passing game what was holding them back? I don't know. So I won't put them quite at Super Bowl contenders. I've seen the Bengals play at that level. Haven't quite seen the Jags play at that level. I mean, the game was competitive enough against the Chiefs, but not the level of competition that the Bengals have had. So I'm going to put them at playoff teams. The Broncos. Do they improve with Sean Payton? Do they improve enough with Sean Payton to validate Russ's contract? Probably not. I don't think they win the division. They're a potential wild card team. That team could really go anywhere. Does Russ turn back the clock a little bit with Sean Payton? I saw Drew Brees at one of their trainings. Can he help Russ in any way? Sean Payton should help improve that team's offense, but after last year, you can't put much faith in them. This is the farthest I feel comfortable putting them. Could they improve more than just that? Yes. Will they? We'll see. Kansas City Chiefs, they're coming off a Super Bowl championship. They have the best player in the NFL, the best quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes, one of the best playmakers in Travis Kelce. We'll see what happens with Chris Jones. But you come off a Super Bowl championship with the number one quarterback, one of the top playmakers, probably the best head coach in the NFL right now. You got to be the Super Bowl favorite. They're the only team I'm going to put in there. They're Super Bowl contenders. The Raiders. Is Jimmy G an upgrade over Derek Carr? No, I don't think so. At least not significantly enough to really change things. But does a new... They don't have a new head coach, do they? But do they do enough around that besides just changing him out to make this team better? I don't think so. I think this team, could they vie for a wild card spot? Maybe. But I feel more comfortable putting them at mediocre at best. I don't have much faith in that team. Max Crosby is really good. We all know what Devontae Adams is. Josh Jacobs is coming back now. He's ended his holdout, but with how many touches he had last year, what is he going to perform this year? How is he going to perform this year? Will he stay healthy the whole year? I saw some stat about, most running backs with the most touches, how they perform the following season. It's never really good. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm going to put them mediocre at best. The Chargers, they have Justin Herbert. They have a Bosa brother, Derwin James. They got a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. I'm a Cowboys fan. Does that help them? Maybe. I don't know. I'm in the camp that didn't really like Kellen Moore too much. I thought he was a good play caller for 3 quarters and not in the 4th. But they're a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team with that type of quarterback. They got him another weapon in Quentin Johnson. Three good receivers with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson now. Austin Eckler's still there. So they're going to make the playoffs. The New York Jets. Trading for Aaron Rodgers. What happens? With that offensive line, nothing might happen. We'll see. I'm going to put them potential wild card just because offensive line is so important in the NFL. And to have that be the biggest question mark with an older quarterback under center, that's a huge concern. Potential wild card. Patriots. Do I believe in Mac Jones? To who's he throwing to? Juju? Do I believe in that at all? None whatsoever. The defense is probably going to be good again. They always seem to field a good enough defense, but it's not good enough with the offense that they're going to have with Mac Jones, whose best time as a quarterback was the first half of his rookie year. That's not going to cut it. I'm going to say mediocre at best. They're not going to be, they're not young. Mac Jones is the only real young player I'm really thinking of. When you say young but intriguing, truly you just kind of talk about quarterbacks when it's in the NFL. He's not young enough to be intriguing. Number one pick contention, with Bill, I Right now I have Andy Reid ahead of Bill for just right now, but I'm not going to put Bill at a number one pick contention type team. So they're going to go to mediocre at best. The Buffalo Bills, they keep being put in this conversation, and to some people's opinion, they're not quite living up to it. I think they are living up to contending, but they're not living up to any favorite talks that they've had. If you've had them in contending talks, I think they've lived up to it. If you've had them in favorite talks, obviously they haven't. But with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs is now hey, he's staying there. Their defense was really good last year. They're Super Bowl contenders. Can they compete with the Chiefs? I think they can. We've seen it in the playoffs how close that game came down to. They got beat by the Bengals, but it's all about, can you beat the Chiefs? I think they can. Will they is a different question. I'll always pick the Chiefs over them, but they're in the contention talk. The Miami Dolphins. This is an interesting team. Can Tua stay healthy? That's what it mostly comes down to. Can Tua stay healthy? They have the weapons around them with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Now maybe doing some screens or jet sweeps with Devon Achane, with his speed coming into that backfield. Absolute track team. Does the Jalen Ramsey injury hurt them a lot? It definitely hurts them. Does it hurt them a lot? I don't know. With the division that they're in now, I'm going to put them in potential wild card now instead of just playoff teams. The Bills are going to be the Bills. The Jets improved wildly. The Patriots, with how that team is able to scheme against opponents, you can never really count them out of any game. So I'm going to put them in potential wild cards now. So this is what the AFC looks like. Let's take a look at the NFC. In my personal opinion, the AFC is the tougher conference, by far. In my opinion, I think it's definitely the tougher conference. There's definitely some good teams in the NFC that we'll talk about. Starting with the NFC North, we're going to start off with the Minnesota Vikings. You lose Thielen and you kind of upgrade with Jordan Addison. Probably upgrade. We'll see. Those are some big shoes to fill. Thielen was a really good route runner, but you do that, but you lose Dalvin Cook. Can Madison come in and replace him entirely? We'll see. Probably. It's up to their O-line if he's going to do that. Are they a playoff team? To me, they're somewhere in between here. They're either just missing or getting in. Do they win the division? I don't know. It's really tough. So I'm going to put them in potential wild cards. It's a really tough one to place. They have the best wide receiver in the NFL. A good quarterback, a good enough quarterback for sure. Does their defense improve enough? That was holding them back last year. Does that improve enough? We'll find out. The Packers. Jordan Love's looking good. They got some young receivers. I'm going to put them in young but intriguing. I don't think they make the playoffs. But I think my guess is we see enough of Jordan Love to feel confident moving forward, building around him. Now the Lions. Obviously, in my opinion, I would probably pick the Lions to win the division, so should I put them in playoff team? But it just feels weird to have them a whole tier ahead of the Vikings. That doesn't feel adequate for me. So I'm going to put them here. It's a coin flip between these two on who wins the division. Right now, honestly, is it just because it's a good story, the Lions winning the division? Is that the only reason I'm leaning them? I just saw the Vikings go 13-4 might have been their record. I'm not sure. So it feels a little quick to just jump on the Lion bandwagon and push the Vikings down. But I'm gonna put them in the same tier. I'm gonna have a video coming out where I pick every single game, and we'll see who wins there. But then we have the Bears. Bear down. Justin Fields, you trade for DJ Moore. I'm going to leave them. I'm going to keep them in young but intriguing. And I know, I just said that Mac Jones wasn't young enough to be in that tier, but Justin Fields is. They came out in the same draft class. I guess you caught me. That's a discrepancy, but we've seen the best of Mac already. I don't think we've seen the best of Fields, so I'm going to leave them in that tier. I'm acknowledging now, yes, they were in the same draft class. How are they not? How are they any different? It's the vibe. I don't know what to tell you. Saints. Is Derek Carr better than, who did they have last year? Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston? Yeah, he is. Is that defense going to be good? Probably good enough, if I had to assume. Cam Jordan, I don't know. They always just seem to field a good enough defense. Chris Olave, I had last year in fantasy, was really good for me. Michael Thomas, is he going to be healthy? Who knows? They signed Jamal Williams to kind of help with that Kamara suspension, so they're going to have probably a good enough run game. They had a third-round pick at the running back position. Are they the favorite to win the division? I'm going to be honest. I see these three teams here kind of in the same boat in terms of who could win the division, but I'm going to lean the Saints. But it just, putting them up next to these guys feels wrong. Falcons, Desmond Ridder to Drake London, handing off to Bijan, throwing to Kyle Pitts. That feels pretty good. The offensive line was really good in the run game last year, so you feel confident that the offense is going to do its part, at least enough of it. Will the defense? I think they signed Jesse Bates III. That's a really good pickup. So I'm going to put them in potential wild card slot as well. And then the Panthers, I think they could probably have a pretty good defense, at least good enough. Some of the guys they have on paper with Brian Burns, some of the cornerbacks that they have. How quick does Bryce Young, get rolling? I'm not sure, but it's intriguing nonetheless. So I'm going to put them in young but intriguing. This tier is second to last, but it's better than being in these tiers, in my opinion. If I had, being honest. And then the Bucks. The Bucks. I'm going to put them in number one pick contention. I know they have some players that are still from that Super Bowl winning team, but when Baker Mayfield is fighting Kyle Trask for the starting spot, and I know Baker got announced as the starter, but it just, the division's not hard, so they probably won't end up with the number one pick, but I would say they're within contention, and that's how I have the NFC South. Now we move on to the NFC West. We have the Rams here. This was a team that went all in on the Super Bowl. They went real top-heavy with the roster, and now that's coming back to pay. It was definitely worth it. You win a Super Bowl, but Cooper Kupp comes back healthy. What is there around them besides that? I mean, you still have Aaron Donald. Matthew Stafford is supposed to be healthy. Are they within number one pick contention? Are they at that level? I mean, I don't know how good this roster was. It was kind of already like, it was not a deep roster when they won the Super Bowl. What is it now? I mean, Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp, those can elevate each side of their ball enough. So I'm going to put them at mediocre at best. I just don't see much there. Maybe they could surprise me, make a wild card. I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up, within the number one pick contention. But then the Niners. A lot going on with the quarterback, but we've seen this team be true contenders with just a carousel of quarterbacks, from Jimmy G to Trey Lance for 2 games, and now he's apparently going to probably be gone, to Brock Purdy. They have Sam Darnold, who I think this is the best situation he's ever been in, easily. They're contenders. Nick Bosa, Defensive Player of the Year. Just an absolute beast of a team. Just the most important position has always been their question mark. Brock Purdy seemed pretty good last year. Who knows what happens if he doesn't get hurt in that Eagles game? But I'm going to put him at Super Bowl contenders. Cardinals. I saw something that said, hey, Kyler might not play this year at all. They are definitely within number one pick contention. But what happens if they get the number one pick? You owe Kyler a lot of money, but you're staring down like what? Caleb Williams and Drake May? That is insanely hard to pass up on, especially when you're this far into Kyler Murray's tenure and you just don't know if you trust him to give him the keys to the franchise. Seahawks. They're a potential wild card team just because the reason they're not a playoff team, in my opinion, is because they're in the division with the Niners, and that's just tough. And I know that, hey, you've got the Ravens and the Chargers here, but they're in the same division as some teams you have above them. But it's just, are they that good? Was it 1 year of 1 year of good quarterback play is always a little concerning, especially with having been a bit of a journeyman. I'm going to assume, my guess would be that they get in, that they get one of the wild card slots, and they are a playoff team. But when we're talking about tearing off, These teams I full-heartedly believe get in. Things can happen, and I can see the Seahawks not getting in. I would pick them to get in, but I'm putting them in potential wild card tier. Next up is the Eagles. I'm a Cowboys fan, so this does hurt. But if you go to the Super Bowl, you have to be in the contender spot the next year. I just mentioned one good year of quarterback play. That's what Jalen Hurts just had. It was 1 year, but it was a really good year though. So that team's roster construction, being able to put good team after good team again and again, going to put them Super Bowl contenders. Washington. Sam Howell looks good. I can't even lie. Sam Howell looks good throwing to Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. They got some good receivers. I think I'm missing one, probably. But are they the worst team in that division again? Probably. So I'm going to put them missing playoff teams, but they're probably going to be in the hunt for the wild card spot till the end of the season, like they were last year. Giants. Do Giants do it again, right? Does the NFC East put 3 teams in the playoffs again? It's possible. It's definitely possible. The division is really good. Do they do it again? Maybe. Do all 3 of the teams they put in win a playoff game again? Probably not. So I'm just going to put them... I'll put them in potential wild card spot. I like them more than the Commanders. But, we'll see. I don't full-heartedly believe in Daniel Jones. Saquon has always had these injury questions. He finished last season fully healthy. So I'm going to put them in potential wild card spots. And then my team, the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons alone guarantees us a playoff spot. If he's healthy, he guarantees us alone. You throw in pick machine Trevon Diggs with Stephon Gilmore on the other side, that's a good defense. Leighton Vander Esch, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, if he can stop breaking the law, that's really good coming off the edge. And then boom, Tony Pollard's the full-time back now. Maybe sprinkle in some Deuce Vaughn in there. Throwing to Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb. I like the tight ends we have. Now the question comes down to these things. Is Dak good? Yes, Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's top 10. I don't care what you have to say. I believe he's top 10. When it comes to playing in the playoffs, I think he's played good more than he's played bad. I think he was good against Green Bay. I think he was good against the Rams. I think he's the reason we beat Seattle in the playoffs. I think he played okay the first time we played the Niners. Not his best performance, but I don't even think it was necessarily terrible. But he played god-awful last time he played the Niners. And that's what people are going to remember. So I don't believe he's this choke quarterback. I think he has showed up individually in more games than he's not. But the question is coaching. Do we trust Mike McCarthy? I don't know. I have no idea. Do I trust Dan Quinn to coach that defense? Oh, absolutely. Last 2 years, we led the league in takeaways. Only other team, the Steelers. They did it 3 years, so we're going for that. And those teams, I think at least one of those teams won a Super Bowl. I can't put us in contenders. I can't. We did win a playoff game last year. People forget that. I get it. It was the Bucs, but it was Tom Brady. Put some respect on it. And we dominated that game as well. It wasn't whatever. But I'm going to put us in a playoff team. Give respect to the Eagles. I mean, they made the Super Bowl. Got to have them a tier ahead of us. But this is where everything lies for me. Super Bowl contenders. Sorry. The Super Bowl favorite, Kansas City Chiefs. Super Bowl contenders, Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, sadly, the Philadelphia Eagles. Playoff teams, Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars. I almost said San Diego. Los Angeles Chargers, Dallas Cowboys. Potential wildcard teams. The Steelers, the Broncos, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Lions, the Saints, the Falcons, the Seahawks, and the Giants. And if you're looking around at these playoff team ones that I'm guaranteeing and up, if you see a division without one here, I'm not saying, obviously, someone has to win the division, and they could, more than one team could go to the division. It's hard to put one above the other. I rounded down, I guess you could say, and I put them in wild card spots. Missing playoff teams, the Browns, the Titans, and the Commanders. Mediocre at best. the Raiders, Patriots, and Rams. That Rams one, this thing could go absolutely anywhere with the type of top tier talent they have, but there's just nothing behind it. Young but intriguing. This mostly just comes down to them having young quarterbacks with Texans with CJ Stroud, the Colts with Anthony Richardson, Green Bay, first year of Jordan Love starting. We'll see what happens. The Bears with Justin Fields having a full off season of really building around him, and then the Panthers with Bryce Young. Number one pick contention, I got Bucks and Cardinals. Again, could any of these teams here, also be in here? Probably. But this is where I'm leaving everything. That's how I feel. Tell me what you agreed with most and what you disagreed with most. Thank you so much for watching. I got a lot more coming on this channel. Please like and subscribe for more. And as always, keep gaming.